Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, so let's jump in. In this book, the author shares the story of his two dads, who he nicknames Rich Dad and Poor Dad, and the lessons that they taught him. Robert's real father is the poor dad in the story, who struggles financially despite being highly educated and intelligent. The rich dad in the story is the father of Robert's best friend. This dad didn't do as well in school as Robert's father, but he had a better understanding of money and how to make it work to his advantage. The first 6 chapters in the book each explore a key lesson, so let's take a look at these 6 lessons, shall we? Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money. Robert says that the poor and the middle class work for money, the rich have money work for them. Most people spend the majority of their lives working hard for someone else in a job which they don't even like, and what is the end result of all of this hard work? The likely answer is that they will spend most of each year looking forward to the short-lived vacation time that they receive, until eventually they retire and get to live off their mediocre pension if they get one at all. Why is it that most people do this? Well, Robert says that people's lives are forever controlled by 2 emotions, fear and greed. The fear of being without money is what motivates people to work for someone else, so they get a job and start earning money, but then the second emotion can kick in, which is greed. And greed is what prevents people from breaking out of the rat race, because people fall into the habit of spending money in useless ways. Lesson 2. Why teach financial literacy? It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. In this lesson, Robert is stressing the importance of financial literacy. He shares with us something that his rich dad told him, which is that rich people acquire assets, the poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. So, what is the difference between an asset and a liability? Robert simply states that an asset puts money in my pocket, a liability takes money out of my pocket. Examples of assets include things like real estate and stocks, whereas liabilities are things like credit cards and taking out a loan to get the latest car. Lesson 3. Mind your own business. What does this mean exactly? Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should quit your day job immediately and start your own business, because even though that strategy can lead to success, it is also quite risky. Instead, start focusing on yourself rather than solely focusing on your boss's business. You can do this by spending your money on assets rather than on liabilities and personal items that you don't need, like a brand new set of golf clubs. Robert makes the distinction that the poor buy luxurious items first because they want to appear rich, whereas the rich buy assets first and then buy luxurious items with the income generated by those assets, which is a much smarter move. Lesson 4. The history of taxes and the power of corporations. Originally in England and America, there were no taxes. The idea of a regular income tax grew so popular because it was announced that this tax would punish the rich, and so the poor and middle class people agreed to introduce it. It was like a Robin Hood scenario, where money would be taken from the rich and given to the poor. However, in reality, this backfired and ended up punishing the poor because the rich people used corporations to protect themselves and their money from taxes. Corporations earn money, spend that money, and are then taxed on the money which remains, whereas an employee, on the other hand, earns money, is then taxed on all of that money earned, and can only spend with the money that's left over. This is why you should educate yourself financially to avoid being bullied by the system. Lesson 5. The rich invent money. There are a lot of smart people who fail to make money because they don't make the most of opportunities. They sit around waiting for something to happen. Sometimes you have to be adventurous if you want to create money. Robert also uses this chapter to explain how important it is to have financial knowledge, as can be seen in the following quote. The single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. If it is trained well, it can create enormous wealth. Lesson 6. Work to learn. Don't work for money. Investing time and money into learning new skills is very important. In order to learn new skills, you might have to take a pay cut or spend money on classes, but in the long run, the knowledge pays off. Okay, so that's the 6 lessons over and done with. Next, Robert shares his insights into overcoming obstacles, because even after making full use of the 6 lessons that Robert's taught us so far, we might still be held back from our potential to generate money. The 5 main reasons for this are fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance. Let's start by looking at fear. The primary difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage fear. Everyone has a fear of losing money. It's how you handle this fear that matters. Robert tells us that he's never met a rich person that hasn't ever lost money, but he has met a lot of poor people who have never lost money because they've never invested at all. And cynicism. Many of us are paralysed by cynicism. This doubt comes from inside our own head, or from those around us, or both. This is what keeps people playing it safe while the real world holds opportunities for you. And laziness. Being busy doesn't necessarily mean that you aren't being lazy. You might be doing loads of stuff while simultaneously being lazy when it comes to loving yourself, your family and friends. This book tells us that a little greediness can help overcome laziness. Excessive greed is rightly stigmatised, but in the context of asking yourself what you need to do to improve your life, it's fine to be a little greedy with your ambitions. Bad habits. Here is a great quote from the book. Our lives are a reflection of our habits more than our education. We must overcome bad habits and create good habits to improve our lives and the lives of those around us. And finally, arrogance. Thinking that what you don't know isn't important is arrogant. Sometimes we hide our ignorance under a veil of arrogance. So, when you know you are ignorant about a matter at hand, start educating yourself. And that's all from me, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.